Good morning, everybody. My name's Chris Swanee. I'm the Head of Public Sector at Bytes Software Services, and welcome to our regular webinar. This morning we're going to be talking about Microsoft Enterprise Agreements and how they work and the benefits of them. Just a couple of housekeeping details before we start. During the webinar you're muted, but you can submit questions through to us which we'll answer at the end. There should be a questions box on the right hand side of your screen. What we'll do at the end of the webinar is we'll go on mute for just a few minutes while we review the questions, and then we'll come back to you with the answers of those questions. So feel free to ask questions. We are going to make a webinar recording after the event, and what we'll do is we'll email you just to let you know where that is. It'll probably be available on our website as well. And finally, before we get going, can you please complete the critique form at the end? Let us know about these webinars. We do hold these regularly, and we do appreciate all the feedback that you can give us. And it also offers us the opportunity to give you a call back if you require any further information about any of the points that we raised during this webinar. So, what are we going to be talking about today? I'm going to start off with just a couple of slides about Bytes, just to introduce us to you and so that you can get a feel for who we are as an organization. I'm going to take you through the range of desktop-based licensing agreements. Microsoft have got loads and loads of different agreements suiting all different types of organizations. But what we're going to concentrate on today is about the Microsoft Select agreement. We're just going to cover that very briefly, and we're going to cover the enterprise agreements as well, and we're going to cover the contract structures of those so you can see how they work. There are two different sides to the enterprise agreements. First, we've got the desktop-based enterprise agreement, known as the enterprise agreement and the enterprise subscription agreement, and we're also going to cover the two of the server-based enterprise agreements, the enrollment for core infrastructure and the enrollment for the application platform. And what we'll do is, finishing off, is we'll just cover briefly some of the benefits of software assurance, because software assurance is part and parcel of these enterprise agreements. Firstly, about Bytes Software Services. Last year we had a turnover of around about £150 million, and we employ around about 150 people. We're a relatively small company based in Surrey, but we have offices in Manchester and York as well. We're headed up by the Ultron Group, based out of South Africa, and that's a £2 billion company. What it means is that we're a smaller company with the agility to fit your needs, but we've got great backing, giving us that financial stability that our customers really want. We have two other sister companies. We have Bytes Document Solutions, and they focus on print technology and improving efficiencies around your print solutions. And we also have a great division called Bytes Security Partnerships, end-to-end security solutions, helping lots of our customers with that area. Bytes was founded 30 years ago, so it's our 30th anniversary this year, and we are a dedicated software services company. We really just do focus in on software licensing. We are a gold certified partner both on SAM and software licensing, and to help you make the most of your technology, we have a really experienced learning solutions division delivering training, so to help you to get up to speed with the new technologies you're investing in. If you want to help with regards to deployment or configuration of those technologies, then we have a great partner ecosystem with best-of-breed systems integrators that are all pre-vetted for you. We've got great experience with them, and they can bring you a terrific amount of value. In relation to Microsoft, we're consistently one of the top 3 LARs within the UK, and Microsoft do respect us in the service that we provide, and also our terrific expertise, as we have over 60 Microsoft licensing consultants who have been in the business for quite a while, so their depth of expertise in order to find you the best value solutions is unsurpassed. And finally, if you're a global organization, we do have that global reach throughout the globe. So if you have offices in other areas of the world, we can help you out there. So just now moving on to the various volume license agreements, and we're going to start by looking at some of the desktop-based agreements. These are agreements that are based on licensing software on your desktop, such as Office, Windows, client licensing, etc. There are 4 areas on this slide, and if you look horizontally, I've got perpetual licenses and non-perpetual licenses. Perpetual licenses are licenses that once you buy them, you own the rights to that software forever, and depending on the software assurance and when your software assurance ran out or whether it's still active, you can get the latest versions if need be. Non-perpetual licenses are like rented licenses. So you subscribe to them on an annual basis, and then at the end of the subscription, if you choose not to subscribe to them anymore, then your rights to those licenses do expire. Vertically, I've grouped them into two broad categories. For those organisations which have under 250 PCs, there are the open license agreements, and for those organisations over 250 Ps, there are the select agreements and the enterprise agreements as well. I say these are broadly the size of organisations. We do have organisations of under 250 PCs who do certainly make use of the select agreement, but for enterprise agreements you do need over 250 PCs in order to qualify for them, unless you're a public sector organisation, of which it's 100 PCs. For this session today, we're going to focus in on the right-hand side of the screen. So we're going to talk about Select Plus and the enterprise agreements. Firstly, I want to go through the contract structure of Select and Enterprise agreements. Whenever you sign up to one of these agreements, you will need to sign a contract with Microsoft that defines the terms and conditions of how you go about purchasing those software, the software. The contract structure starts with the Microsoft Business and Services Agreement. This is just signed once by your organisation. I think it lasts about 30 years. And it gives you the top level terms and conditions for working with Microsoft and for acquiring their software. If you've never taken out, if you're a private organisation, you've never taken out a Select or an Enterprise agreement before, then you'll just need to sign off to one of those. If you're a public sector organisation, then the Cabinet Office has already signed that for you on your behalf. If we then look at the programme level, and starting with the Select Plus agreement, so if you want a Select agreement, you'll need to sign a Select Plus master agreement. If you're a public sector organisation, this has already been done for you by the Cabinet Office. Once you've signed up to that Select Plus agreement, what you do is you then enrol under it, and your lead part of your organisation would sign a lead affiliate form, and then other subsidiaries would sign their own smaller affiliate forms. However, when we look at how you're performing under this agreement and what price bands, all of the various affiliates that have signed up to the Select Plus agreement are counted together. If we look at the Enterprise agreement, then there's an Enterprise agreement master document that we need to sign you up to, and under that we can have this range of Enterprise agreements: so the Enterprise Enrolment, the Enterprise Subscription Enrolment, the Core Infrastructure, and the Application Platform Enrolment. So let's just start with the Select Plus agreement. The Select Plus agreement, the master agreement, is a non-expiring agreement, so it lasts forever effectually. It gives you perpetual licenses, so once you buy the license you have entitlement to that license forever, and depending on whether you buy software assurance will depend on the version, whether you are entitled to later versions or not. There are 4 price levels based on points and pools. There are 3 product pools: applications, systems and servers. And to qualify for a Select Plus agreement, you need to forecast that within the first year you're going to purchase at least 500 points worth of product in one or more of those 3 pools. Each product within Microsoft's price list has a points value associated to it, and your account manager will be able to help you with that forecasting. For example, the point values for a client access license is 1 point, and a point value for Microsoft Office is 2 points. The Select Plus agreement is an ad hoc agreement, so you make the purchases when you wish to have the licenses, but you can consolidate those orders down onto a monthly ordering basis. It accommodates decentralized purchasing with automatic savings based on the volume across the entire organisation. If you remember back to the previous slide, we had a lead affiliate and the various other affiliates. You can select whether you want software assurance or not, and some licenses you may wish to have software assurance because they may give you extra benefits, or you may know that there's a new version coming out around the corner, or you may just wish to buy the license only because you're happy staying on that level, that version, and you don't have any need of any of the software assurance benefits. And I'm going to cover off the software assurance benefits a little bit later. There is also software assurance membership, and when you sign up to software assurance membership, that means that you commit to having software assurance purchased with every license that you buy through the Select Plus agreements. And finally, if you do opt for software assurance, then you can actually pay for your licenses on an annual term basis. So you can spread the payments and therefore reduce the upfront costs of your purchases. Government customers automatically qualify for level D pricing, and there's additional discounts off that level D pricing based on the PSA 12 agreement that's been in place between the Cabinet Office and Microsoft. That's all I'm going to say about the Select Plus agreement, because what I want to do is now focus on the various different types of enterprise agreement. So, firstly, the desktop-based enterprise agreement. This is a 3-year enrollment, so it lasts for 3 years, and you can select either a perpetual type of enterprise agreement or a subscription-based, which gives you it's like a rental offering. Again, like the Select agreement, there are four price bands, and they're based on the minimum number of qualified devices or users that are within your organization. So, for example, you need to start to qualify for for enterprise agreement band level A, you need a minimum of 250 PCs. Qualify for band level B, 2,400, C, 6,000, and D, 15,000. As you go up those price bands, the pricing becomes cheaper for you. Now, government customers automatically qualify for level D pricing, plus they receive extra discounts, again based on the PSA 12 agreement. The enterprise agreement is really around centralized purchasing. So you would cut individual annual purchase orders to Microsoft or to us for your entire organization. If you opt for one of Microsoft product platforms, and I'm going to go into that probably on the next slide, then you can get an additional discount off the price you pay. Software assurance is part and parcel of the enterprise agreement, so it's automatically included, as are spread payments. So you don't have to have a one-off upfront cost to it. You can spread your payments over 3 annual increments. And finally, you can also add in Office 365 SKUs into the EA if you want Microsoft Online services as well. And do ask your account manager about this, because there are special offers if you've got an enterprise agreement at the moment that are available up to March 2013, which are giving you substantial discounts off adding in Office 365. So how do you qualify for an enterprise agreement? Well, firstly, I've already mentioned that you need a minimum of 250 PCs within your organization to actually qualify for an enterprise agreement. Or if you're a public sector organization, then you need a minimum of 100 PCs. Then what you need to look at is which products are you going to commit to throughout the whole of your organization. Microsoft calls this range of products that you can see in front of you their enterprise products, and you need to choose one or more of those products above to cover every single one of your PCs or your users. So that's either Windows Upgrade across the whole of your estate, Office Professional across the whole of your estate, or the Core Cal or Enterprise Cal suites across your entire estate. I mentioned about the platform discounts, so you can see above and below those lists of products you've got the Professional Desktop and the Enterprise Desktop. The Professional Desktop is where you've chosen to license across your entire estate Windows Upgrade, Office Professional and the Core Cal suite. And by choosing that Professional Desktop package, you'll get an extra 15% discount. The Enterprise Desktop is exactly the same as Professional Desktop, except you've got the Enterprise Client Access License suite as well. So, the enterprise agreement, how does it work? For the perpetual type agreement, we start off by just selecting a range of products. Now, this range of products will need to include one or more of the enterprise products across every single device within your organization. But what you can also do is you can add in additional products at any quantities that you like at the start of your agreement. So, for example, you may wish to add in some Microsoft Project licenses, some Windows Server licenses, some SQL licenses, etc., etc. You can add in any Microsoft product you like. Once you add those products in, the price of those products is fixed throughout the term of your agreement. So should Microsoft come out with any price increases during the year, then your agreement is fixed in price. You won't have to worry about those price increases. Once you've selected the range of products that you want to go into your initial purchase for your enterprise agreement, you make your first regular payment at the start of the agreement. Throughout the year, you come to the second anniversary, and then what you do on your first anniversary, you make your second regular payment. But throughout the year, you may have actually installed across your estate either more users, more devices, or more products. The beauty of an enterprise agreement is that you can do this. You can add extra products into your estate throughout the year for those products that were included in your enterprise agreement, and you don't need to pay for those at that time. You just wait until the next anniversary, and you then perform what's known as a true-up. So all those products or users or devices that you've added through the previous year that were in your enterprise agreement, you then do a true-up at the first anniversary. Now that true-up pays for the full license cost of those extra products plus the entire software assurance for the remaining term of your agreement. So at the first anniversary, you'll pay for 2 years' worth of software assurance. What this means now is that you only need to look at those products, count those products that are in use within your estate once per year, unlike the select agreement where you need to do it throughout the year. Okay, after your first true-up, you then go through the year and you make your third and last regular payment. At that point, the licenses are yours and owned by you, the ones that you included in the agreement at the beginning. But also, what you may have done throughout the term of that year is you may have added in more products or increased the number of devices. So, at the second anniversary, what you'll do is you'll need to do a second true-up to pay for those new licenses or devices deployed in that previous year. And you'll pay for the full license cost here, plus that remaining 1 year's worth of software assurance. Then, throughout the year, throughout that last year, again, you may have actually added in more products. Now, just realizing here that you've actually paid for the initial products that were included, so now you've come to the end of the agreement at the third anniversary, you still need to do the true-up for those extra products that you've added in that previous year. So that's the third and final true-up to pay for those licenses. At this point, you have a choice. You could just let the agreement end at that point. You've paid for all the licenses that you selected initially, and you've paid for all the licenses and the devices that you've deployed during the entire term of the agreement. What you could do, though, is you could just renew the agreement. And the renewal of the agreement means that you actually pay for software assurance only on the range of licenses that you want in the new agreement. So the actual annual price may well come down for you. So it's just purely software assurance now at a reduced rate. And like I said before, you do have a choice to walk away, and you'll end up with perpetual rights to the versions of the software that were available at the end of the agreement. Another choice which is proving popular is that you could switch to another type of agreement, such as the enterprise subscription agreement, which offers increased flexibility around decreasing the number of licenses that you own. So the enterprise subscription agreement, this works in a similar way, but we don't look at those true-ups in quite the same way as we do with a perpetual enterprise agreement. Again, at the start, we select the enterprise products that we want to license across the entire organization, and we also add in additional products that we would like to start the agreement off with. And what we do, like the normal enterprise agreement, the perpetual enterprise agreement, we make our first payment. Now, the number of devices or usage of licenses throughout the year may vary. It may go up, it may go down. So the quantities may vary throughout the year. At the first anniversary, we then count the number of licenses that are in use at that particular point in time. And we make our second regular payment. Again, the price per license for this will be fixed throughout the entire term of your agreement. So you've got it's going to make it easier for you to budget for increased number of licenses throughout the year. Then, during the following year, the number of licenses you may be running may go up or they may come down. And in this case, they've come down. And you just simply pay that third and last payment at that level that you're actually level of the licenses that you're actually running. And then throughout the final year of the agreement, that's when the agreement ends. At this point, you've got a number of choices to make. You can just simply renew and resubscribe at whatever the price is at that particular point in time. you could buy out your licenses. In other words, convert those licenses that you've previously rented into perpetual licenses. There'll be perpetual licenses with version rights at the time of the agreement, ends. It is quite an expensive option, but your account manager will be able to look at that for you. Or finally, what you could do is just simply walk away from the agreement as it stands. Pay no more money to Microsoft, but any rights that you had before while you were renting those licenses, you won't have those license rights moving forward. Now, this is a choice of then when it comes down to individual organisations about whether they actually decide to rent licenses or whether they choose to purchase licenses. And again, your Bytes account manager can talk you through those options, as well as giving you long-term forecast on pricing, etc. So, for the agreements that we've looked at so far, here's just a very quick summary. The Select agreement, the licenses are perpetual, as are for the Enterprise agreement, but the Enterprise subscription agreement, that is a subscription, so they're rented licenses. For the Select agreement, software assurance is optional, but for the Enterprise agreements, it's included, automatically included. Select agreement, payments are just single one-off payments for the licenses you have, but the Enterprise agreements, they're annual payments. For the Select agreement, you can buy any product, any quantity at any time. The Enterprise agreement, it focuses on those key products that you license across the entire organization, but you can add in any other products you like at any time. With the Select agreement, the prices can vary monthly, but when you go into an Enterprise agreement, you fix those prices through the agreement life. Just very quickly, let's just look at a price comparison of how much money the Enterprise agreements could potentially save you. Based on commercial level A pricing with software assurance, and for an organisation wanting across its estate Windows Upgrade, Office and CoreCal for 500 devices, if you were to buy that through the Select agreement with software assurance, over the course of 3 years it would cost you over £620,000. Through the Enterprise agreement there is a significant saving of over £200,000. It comes down to £406,000. Over the 3-year period, a significant saving over the Select agreement. And then when we look at renting the licenses, again, over £100,000 cheaper than the Enterprise agreement, or it cuts the bill in half when you look at the Select agreement, £294,000. These are example prices only, so if you want to look more in the context of what you want to do within your organisation, then do contact your Bytes account manager, or at the end of this webinar, fill in the form to request your account manager to give you a call back, and they'll be able to guide you through which agreement would be best for you. Now we move on to the server-based enterprise agreements, and I'm going to talk about 2 agreements here. Firstly, the enrolment for core infrastructure, and secondly, the enrolment for application platform. The enrolment for core infrastructure is all about what you want to do about Windows Server and System Center. The enrolment for application platform is about those 4 products there: SQL, Visual Studio, BizTalk and SharePoint. There is a new enterprise agreement which has just been released, and that is called the enrolment for Windows Azure. We're getting information from Microsoft on that now. So please do keep an eye on your inbox, because we will be running a webinar in the very near future on that new enterprise agreement. We've got a lot of people who are interested in this and Microsoft's cloud offerings. So the enrolment for Windows Azure is a new one, and we'll be doing a webinar on that very, very shortly. Moving back to the enrolment for core infrastructure, focusing around Windows Server and System Center, this has perpetual or subscription offerings, so you can rent or just buy outright. There is a minimum initial purchases of 25 licenses or 50 processors across your server estate. You don't need to license all of your server estate doing it, you just need to license a minimum of 50 processors. Or 25 licenses, because each license for the enrolment for core infrastructure covers 2 physical processors. It's a very simple offering because there's only 2 types of license available: the Core Infrastructure Suite Standard license and the Core Infrastructure Suite Data Center license, and I'll explain the differences between those in the next slides. Again, like the normal enterprise agreement, we can look at on an annual basis for any increase in usage that you want to license through the agreement. So there's an annual true-up for the perpetual type agreement, or you just increase or decrease the quantities for the subscription type agreement. Like the other types of enterprise agreements, software assurance is automatically included, and it works out significantly cheaper than purchasing Windows Server and System Center separately. I mentioned the two types of licenses. The Core Infrastructure Suite Standard license. This supports 2 virtual operating systems per license, and each license covers 2 physical processors. What's included in it? Well, that includes Windows Server Standard Edition and System Center Standard Edition. Core Infrastructure Suite Data Center license supports an unlimited number of operating systems per license, and that includes Windows Server Data Center Edition and System Center Data Center Edition. Essentially, these two products are exactly the same. The only difference being is in the virtualization rights. So just having a quick look and a quick refresh on Windows Server licensing. Windows Server now comprises of 2 licenses. So you can now buy Windows Server Standard Edition and Windows Server Data Center Edition. Ever since Windows Server 2012 was released, it came down to just these 2 licenses. Previously there was Windows Server Enterprise. That is no longer available. The functionality between Windows Server Standard Edition and Windows Server Data Center is exactly the same. There's no difference in functionality between those products. So it makes it really, really easy when deciding which edition you want. The only difference with these is the licensing model for virtualization. Standard Edition, up to 2 virtual operating systems per license. Data Center Edition, unlimited number of operating system environments. If we look at the System Center Standard Edition license and the System Center Data Center Edition, again like Windows Server, the functionality is exactly the same. It includes all those products there: Operations Manager, Data Protection Manager, Virtual Machine Manager, System Center Orchestrator, Configuration Manager, Service Manager, Endpoint Protection, and App Controller. Again, the only difference in between the 2 products is the licensing model. So, just as a recap, Core Infrastructure Suite Standard Edition includes Windows Server Standard and System Center Standard. Core Infrastructure Suite Data Center just includes Windows Server Data Center and System Center Data Center, and it depends on your virtualization model as to which one you'd wish to go for. Again, speak to your Bytes account manager and they'll be able to help you out with that. Pricing is interesting. Based on commercial price list, level A pricing, and based on licensing 50 processors, I've grouped this pricing table into 2 halves. The top half for System Center Standard, for Core Infrastructure Standard, and the bottom half for the Data Center Edition. If we just quickly look at the top one, the top 2 lines of that is where I've licensed Windows and System Center Standard just through the Select Plus agreement, and that works out at an annual price of £19,500. Through the Select Plus agreement, you can buy the Core Infrastructure Suite license, and that brings the price down to £18,500. But buying that Core Infrastructure Suite Standard license through the Enrollment for Core Infrastructure gives you significantly better pricing. So if you look at the Perpetual license, that is £13,993, nearly £5,000 savings over doing it through the Select agreement. But if you choose to subscribe, then it brings it down even more, £9,400 per year. And the same sort of economies of scale are around System Center, the Data Center Edition as well. Again, these prices are given to us for illustration purposes only. If you want something more tailored to your organization, then do speak to your Bytes account manager. The second type of server-based license agreement is the Enrollment for Application Platform. This is only available as a perpetual license offering, and the minimum initial purchase level is dependent on the products that you select through it. And I'm going to go into those on the next slide. It's an enterprise-wide commitment on key products, and those products are SQL, BizTalk, Visual Studio, and SharePoint. So you need to look at all licenses that are being run within your organization and then license those through the Enrollment for Application Platform. There are 2 licensing models for it. You can either look to do it on a 1-year true-up option or a 3-year true-up option, and in a couple of slides' time I can explain those a little bit further. Just the same as all the other enterprise agreements, software assurance is automatically included, but the difference with the Enrollment for Application Platform is that through all other licensing models, if you've got license only, already owned by you, you cannot go back and attach software assurance to those licenses. However, with the Enrolment for Application platform, then this does allow you to look at those old licenses and attach software assurance to those existing licenses, and therefore bringing those old licenses up to a new and current version. And that is where people are finding the ability to save a lot of money when it's looking at these types of products. The minimum order requirements are really dependent on the product that you want. So for SQL Server, for example, it's either 50 core licenses or 250 client access licenses with 5 servers. And you can see there through that table of the minimum number of licenses that you need to start off an Enrolment for Application platform. You can choose any number of those products to go in your enrolment, or you can just simply choose one product set. I mentioned previously about the 1 or 3 year true-up option. So the 1 year true-up option is very similar to the normal enterprise agreement that we've discussed previously. On the annual anniversary, you'll pay your regular annual commitment, but then what you'll do is you will look at the licenses you've deployed during the previous year, and you'll pay a true-up on an annual basis to pay for those licenses. The 3 year true-up is slightly different. This is where you actually you start your agreement, but you have a fixed growth plan throughout the 3 year term of the agreement. And then, at the end of the 3 year term, you can then purchase those licenses for savings for any licenses you buy above the initial commitment. Just as a quick price comparison for the Enrolment for Application platform, again based on commercial level A pricing, based on licensing an organization with 30 cores of SQL Standard and 20 cores of SQL Enterprise, where the customer already has old SQL licenses and want to upgrade their entire estate for SQL 2012. And this is where we're finding that organizations want to do. They want to bring themselves up to a newer version of SQL or the other products, taking into account the licenses they already own. If you did it through Select Plus, you could only buy license and software assurance through this, and that would give you a total 3 year price of £247,000. If you did it through the Enrolment for Application platform, you'd have a total 3 year price of £104,000. At the end of the agreement, you can either continue your agreement at around about £104,000, or you can optionally buy out, converting all those licenses that you've purchased with software assurance only, converting them to the latest version of the license, and that would then give you a combined 3 year grand total of £197,000, still a significant saving over the Select Plus agreement. Again, like I said before, these are example prices, so do contact your account manager for an accurate quote based on your organisation. So what I've covered off so far is briefly the CLX agreement. I've told you about the normal enterprise perpetual agreement. I've told you about the enterprise subscription agreement, the enrolment for core infrastructure, and the enrolment for application platform. Throughout all of these agreements, software assurance has been something that's been available for you. So what I want to talk about now is just a very brief overview of what software assurance is, because you'll get this part and parcel of your enterprise agreements. So firstly, software assurance. One area of software assurance is all about new products. So while your software assurance is active, you will automatically gain access to entitlement to new versions of software that you have covered with software assurance. So as new versions come out with Microsoft, then you get entitlement to those. If you have software assurance on your Windows operating system, then you'll qualify for Windows 8 or Windows 7 Enterprise. And again, if you want to know the difference between that and the Professional Edition, then ask your account manager. You also have, if you've got software assurance on your Windows desktop operating system, you can access the Microsoft Desktop Optimization Pack. And certain products have standard or enterprise levels of products. And what you're able to do is, if you've got software assurance on the standard version of the product, such as SQL Server Standard, then you can step up to a higher version of that product, such as SQL Server Enterprise. If you want help with deployment, then software assurance gives you, dependent on the level of purchase of software assurance, it gives you planning service vouchers, whereby you can gain contact with an approved systems integrator who can help you plan the deployments of software such as SharePoint, Exchange, SQL, etc. Software assurance also gives you access using SQL to license mobility, so you can move your licenses for SQL across different server platforms and also into the cloud. So that's quite important if you're virtualized. Windows Virtual Desktop Access, so if you've got software assurance attached to your desktop operating system and you're interested in doing VDI, then this allows you to license Windows which is being hosted on a central server. It also gives you access to Windows Thin PCs, so you can actually use legacy devices to allow you to run terminal services-based sessions. Software assurance also gives you roaming usage rights on Office, so therefore you can access your Microsoft Office applications using virtualization technologies from any device outside of your organization. I mentioned about planning services, so these are in-depth deployment planning assistance from qualified Microsoft partners, and that's the range of services you can get. You can look at them to help you with planning your desktop rollouts for Microsoft Office and Microsoft Windows and Office 365. You can look at to help you plan your developer tools rollout, link and exchange, and various other areas as well as listed there. Software assurance also gives you quite a lot of technical support. So depending on the level of software assurance that you buy, you can get 24/7 problem resolution support. So these are support incidents with Microsoft. Support incidents with Microsoft. So you can call Microsoft and help them resolve the problems you're having. You've also got System Center Advisor, you're helping you with System Center, and Extended Hotfix as well. I jumped forward a slide there, so I'll go back to the training slide, because training is an important aspect of software assurance as well. And you can get technical training with training vouchers at Microsoft Certified Training Centers, so you can get your IT support staff up to speed, well qualified with the products that you're using. End users have access to e-learning, and you get a lot of content that you can download and incorporate into any SCORM compliant learning management system. And you also have a home use program for Microsoft Office. So if you've got software assurance on your Microsoft Office, then those employees who are using it at work can also gain access to install it on their home PCs. And finally, there are some specialized benefits as well. Cold backup, so if you've got servers which have got software assurance on them, then if you've got, for disaster recovery purposes, you can actually have secondary servers that are switched off and cold, but should you need to bring your primary server down, then you don't need to worry so much about the licensing for that second server. If you're a larger organization, then you may be interested in the Enterprise Source Licensing Program. This allows you actually access to the source code for Microsoft Windows Server and Microsoft Windows, the desktop operating system as well. The spread payments are there part and parcel of enterprise agreements, and I've already mentioned that if you've got software, you buy select licenses with software assurance, then you can actually lower your upfront costs by spreading the payments through your select agreement as well. Software assurance also gives you TechNet and also multi-language facilities as well. Okay, so we've come to the end of our session now. What we're going to do, there is a questions panel on the right-hand side of your screen. So if you do have any questions, do type your questions in there. What we're going to do now, I see we already have quite a number of questions already, is we're just going to go on mute for just a few minutes to give you opportunity to type those questions. And what we can do then is we'll come back online in just a few minutes, and we'll run through the questions and hopefully give you the answers to all of them. So bear with just a few minutes, get your questions typed out, and we'll be back with you in a couple of minutes. Hello, right, we've got loads of questions. Great. Firstly, Cheryl, you asked the question, if we require more licenses, can we pay when we install, or do we have to wait until the anniversary? So I presume you're talking here about the normal enterprise agreement and enterprise subscription agreement. Certainly you can pay when you install. However, what most people choose to do is they choose to do it at the anniversary, the true-up. It means that you're cutting less purchase orders, you're keeping the number of invoices that you're receiving down, and you just count once per year. So you do have the option of paying up front if you wish, but it reduces some of the convenience that the enterprise agreement offers you. I hope that's answered your question. Okay, so Sarah, how is usage affected by product usage rights for server products? Isn't peak usage taken into account for enterprise subscription agreement? Okay, usage by the product usage rights. Yes, you need to ensure that you're running your licenses according to the product usage rights and the rules that are around when you buy a license, what does that actually entitle you to do? And again, if you've got specific questions around that, then your Bytes account manager, either type a question now for it, or your Bytes account manager will be able to help. And your question about peak usage, yes. So with the enterprise perpetual agreement, in the rules of the enterprise agreement, you need to pay for licenses run during the previous year. So if you run more licenses and then deinstall them, you still need to pay for those licenses if you're using the Microsoft Perpetual enterprise agreement. For the enterprise subscription agreement, the wording in the agreement is slightly differently. It simply states you pay for the licenses being run at the anniversary. Okay. What we recommend you actually do there is you pick a point in time before the anniversary. You sort of draw a line at that time. You count the number of licenses being run, and then you simply report that through to us. If you've got an enterprise agreement, or you're thinking about an enterprise agreement, what we do is we would help you manage that whole process. So about 6 months before the anniversary, we'd seek to engage you and discuss the forthcoming anniversary and the actions needed to ensure that 30 days prior to the anniversary, we're able to actually put through a report to Microsoft on your usage, and so that we can ensure that the whole process is done and dusted so that you remain contractually compliant and that your true-up or annual order is reported to Microsoft before your anniversary. I hope that's answered your question. Would it be possible to get a copy of the presentation? Yeah, I've got a number of people doing that. So yeah, it's going to be on our website. We'll email a link out to you, and I also believe it's going to be on YouTube as well. So Carol, yes, you'll be able to hear my voice presenting this as well. Carol, you've asked about education licensing. Okay, so the Select Plus agreement is valid for education licensing, and I think another person has also mentioned about education, about campus agreements, etc. Yes, that's you, Carol. So campus enterprise agreements, such as the enterprise enrollment, the enterprise perpetual agreement and the enterprise subscription agreement, they're not really for education type agreements. So there what you're looking at is the enrollment for education solutions, or what was known as the campus agreement, or the OVS-ES, open value subscription for education solutions. You've asked about a webinar for that. We'll let you know if we're going to run a webinar on that. Okay, Greg, for SQL Server 2012, do the license cover physical cores or extend to virtual cores? It really does depend on the edition of SQL Server you're running. If you're running SQL Server Standard, which you can license in a per core or per server model, then you need to be licensing at the virtual core level. For SQL Server Enterprise, then you can license at the virtual core level if you wish. But what you can also do is you can license at the physical core level. And if you license all of your processor cores physical processor cores on the server with SQL Server Enterprise and attach software assurance to those, then you have unlimited usage rights of SQL in those virtual operating system environments. I hope that's answered your question. You may, if you look on our website for previous webinars, I actually presented the SQL 2012 webinar. So have a look at that. There's lots of information about running it in a physical environment or a virtual environment. Should you have any questions, then do speak to your Bytes account manager. I'm just looking down the list. Cruz, how, if you had 4 SQL virtual machines, how many SQL Server licenses should you purchase? Okay, so if you've got 4 virtual machines running SQL and you are running SQL in a server cal model, so this would either be with SQL Business Intelligence or SQL Standard. Server cal model is not available on SQL Enterprise. Then you need to license it at the virtual machine level. So for each virtual machine you're running SQL in on a server cal level, then you would need a SQL Server license. I hope that's answered your question. I've just got a load of other questions, so if I can just put myself on mute for just another couple of minutes while I read through another couple of questions, then I can come back to you on those. But it's great, we're getting loads and loads of questions, which is great, so keep them coming. I'll be back with you in a couple of minutes. Okay, James has asked, hi Chris, we are in the first year of an enterprise subscription agreement. We started with X number of project licenses. If we want to install more than was purchased at the beginning of the year, do we have to pay for these additional licenses immediately, or can we wait until our next true-up? So, for either the enterprise subscription agreement or the perpetual one, if you've added those into the agreement previously, then you simply just need to wait until the true-up. You don't need to pay for them at that particular point in time you run them. And that's part of the extra convenience of an enterprise agreement. So wait until the next anniversary and pay for them then. I'm just going to go and read the next question, so bear with me a moment. I'm just going to put myself on mute again. Hi, okay, so I'm back again. Roland, you've asked, when is the best time in the software cycle to opt into an enterprise agreement? In other words, when a refresh is due, or is it beneficial to do it before? It's always worth sense checking this with your account manager throughout the year. Certainly if you are looking at refreshing part of your estate over the next few years, then and you need to get up to a new version of the software, then certainly it's worth looking to see whether an enterprise agreement is beneficial. The select agreement is really ad hoc, so you buy whenever the quantities you want and whenever you want. The enterprise agreement, we look at that a little bit more strategically for you. So, for example, if you're looking to move up to Windows Server 2012 over the next few years, if you're looking at adopting the new versions of Exchange or some of the other Microsoft Server infrastructure, but you're not doing it all up front, we'd look to see your timescales for actually getting those new technologies. Because you're paying for an enterprise agreement over a period of 3 years, then it makes sense to look over that 3-year period. We can then compare the price of purchasing on an ad hoc basis through the select agreement or purchasing through an enterprise agreement. You also need to look at the software assurance benefits, because certainly a lot of organizations are looking at doing VDI and rolling out VDI across their estate, and they're looking at phasing that over a period of time. Now you do need software assurance on your Windows operating system in order to get those VDI licensing rights. So it almost then becomes a no-brainer to go into an enterprise agreement as you start doing that, rather than start paying through Select and then end up paying through an enterprise agreement. Essentially though, get in touch with your Bytes account manager. They'll be able to give you a refresh on what we've talked about, these enterprise agreements, and they'll be able to actually apply this to your organizations and map out and help you identify when and whether an enterprise agreement is going to be beneficial for you. I hope that was that's answered your question. Sam, can you tell me in which situation a company would opt for Select Plus rather than Enterprise? Just want to get an everyday general situation. So if you're happy with the versions that you're on, you're not planning to do any major investment, major rollout or anything like that, and you're happy buying on an ad hoc basis, then continue to do it by a Select agreement. It's a great agreement, but what I would encourage you to do, and what we encourage our account managers is to do, is just on a regular basis just put a finger in the air and sense check that that is the right agreement for you, and also sense check about the software assurance benefits and whether they're important for you as well. With the new licensing rules around SQL, new licensing rules about Windows Server and Windows Desktop Operating System, software assurance is becoming more and more important, especially for those who are looking at virtualization technologies, and also moving into the cloud as well. So, yeah, we can help sense that for you. Okay, so Jason, it's not unrelated, Jason. He's asked, it may be completely unrelated, but we're trying to find out what licenses we have within our company and the exact numbers we have been in, and the exact numbers. Been in touch with Microsoft, haven't found much help there. Do you know of doing this quickly and accurately to see what we have? Thank you. Yes, so do contact us. If you've got a Bytes account manager known to you, then do get in touch with them. What they'll be able to do, with your permission, is to actually approach our partner managers in Microsoft, and what we were able to do is to get a report from Microsoft. It doesn't cost much money to get that. There is a fee. We do need to pay a fee to Microsoft to do that, and we can get a report for all volume license orders that you have placed with Microsoft. If you've been known by a different company name in the past, it's worth us getting information about that. So what we can do is we can get a Microsoft license statement from Microsoft, which will show you your entitlements. What we can then do, we have a brilliant software asset management team, and we can employ them to actually come onto your estate, have a look at your estate, and have a look at what you've actually got deployed. And we can also monitor what you're using. So comparing the report we get from Microsoft to comparing the reports that our software asset management team can assist you with in regards to what you've actually got out there, we'll be able to give you a really good and accurate feel for, yes, are you compliant, are you over-licensed or under-licensed, and we'll then be able to help you build a strategy for your purchases moving forward. I hope that's answered your question. Will there be a webinar about the open value license options? I will put that forward to our team internally and see what we go there. I think there would be worth that. James, you've asked, is it possible to move Windows Server and Windows SQL licenses added into an EAS over to a core infrastructure agreement? Certainly it could be possible. What we would do there is that is done on a case-by-case basis. So again, if you've got that position, speak to your Bytes account manager. We've got great relationships with Microsoft. Being, as I've said before, they're consistently their top 3 LAR. They do have a great amount of respect for us, and they do work well with us when it comes down to doing something tailored to what you may want to do with your agreements. So there could well be something possible there, but it's worked on a case-by-case basis. Work with us, we'll help you out. Sarah, EAP, is the cost of attaching software assurance to existing license higher than the continuous payments of software assurance? E.g., is there an element of back payment for previous years? Well, buying software assurance through the Enrollment for Application platform actually gives you additional discount. Firstly, it gives you additional discount over the Select agreement, and secondly, buying software assurance through the EAP is actually the only way you can actually attach software assurance to old licenses. If you go through the 1-year true-up, if you either choose a 1 or 3-year true-up option, at the end of the agreement you have a choice. You can either effectively buy out the licenses, in other words, pay for the license only, at whatever the current price is to convert those licenses into perpetual licenses, or you just simply renew the software assurance moving forward at the normal software assurance rate that is on the Enrolment for Application Platform price list. So I hope that sort of answered your question. I'm just looking at Georgina's question now. We install Windows 2008 R2. Is it now possible to install the enterprise version across their estate? Now there is no difference between standard and data center. I am presuming you're talking about Windows Server 2008, and you have software assurance on your Windows Server licenses. I see you've indicated down there. So Windows Server 2008, is it possible to install a standard enterprise version? If you have had Windows Server, yes, it is on that. I'd need to know which specifically Windows Server licenses you have. But certainly, yeah, Windows Server Standard, if you've got software assurance, you can go back and install Windows Server 2008 R2 Enterprise. Okay, Cheryl, with core infrastructure, do we need to purchase 25 new licenses? If we require Windows Server Data Center, would we need to purchase 25? Would we need to purchase 25 of those, or would it be less as they are more expensive? So the actual, if you're going for a Windows core infrastructure license, then you can mix and match the standard and data center offerings. As long as you have a minimum of 25 licenses, each license covers up to 2 processors, so it's a minimum of 50 processors. So you can mix and match if you wish. I hope that's answered your question. Cheryl, can you add existing licenses to an enterprise agreement? Not quite sure what you mean there. Certainly, if you've taken out an enterprise agreement and you were previously licensed by Select, then those licenses you previously purchased by Select would stay in the Select agreement. If you were in an enterprise agreement and you wanted to add new products into the enterprise agreement that you hadn't added before, then yes, you can do that. You can add in at that time any new products, and that's an important difference. For products that have previously been bought in the enterprise agreement, you can do it at the anniversary. If you want to add in a new product, you need to do that at that particular point in time. I hope that's answered the question. Tommy Higgins, if you reduce your product numbers during a year, can you true down instead of true up? No. Enterprise agreement, you just true up. Unless you're a public sector organization, and built into that are some very restrictive true down clauses, you do lose an element of your asset that you've already paid for, and plus you do need to go through an audit with Microsoft, and you need to give them at least 90 days notice of doing that. Do you offer a SAM webinar? Yes, it is on the website. Look at our website. We did previously do a SAM, Software Asset Management webinar, so have a look at that. Carol, 10:30 p.m. in Sydney. Good night. Good night, Carol. Cheryl. Right, okay, so you've got licenses that don't have software assurance. Can they still be added into an enterprise agreement? If you're talking, the only time you can do that is when you're an enrollment for application platform, where you can just buy the software assurance to add onto those legacy licenses. For all the other type of agreements, no, if you want to move up to the new version and you don't have SA on the old licenses, then you need to buy new license and software assurance on those. I hope that's answered your question. That's it. Unless there are any more, thank you, Cheryl. I'm getting some thank yous, so that's great. I hope that's been informative. Like I say, this